So welcome to the first episode of Work in Progress. This is a new kind of show for me, so if you have watched the daily vlogs that I do, this is kind of like that, but a lot different, where I'm going to be doing these episodes about bi-weekly to start, and the point of this show is really to kind of be reflective about what's been going on with Nyx Labs, so the company that I've started, and understand where I'm going, and also be able to show the world what's going on, and show the underbelly at times of what's it like to be an entrepreneur. Everything that I'm going to be doing for the next little while is just going to be throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. Everything I do right now is going to be a learning curve. I'm not sure of everything that's going to be going on, and that's my takeaway. And this is what I want to talk about this episode, is actually where I've been for the last 2 months. Because obviously this whole thing of starting Nyx Labs has been a whirlwind of activity. It's insane to think that 2 months ago I didn't have a company, and now all of a sudden there's something that exists and it's a thing now. It's interesting, it's weird, it's one of those things that is so exciting but terrifying at the same time. It's probably the closest thing to having a kid without having a kid. It has its own legs and it has its own feelings somewhat, and even though right now it's just me, it's eventually going to grow beyond me, hopefully. So to start, I actually want to give a brief rundown of what Nyx Labs is. Like right now, Nyx Labs is a lifestyle business. So I'm not running this as a startup. I'm not trying to grow to 1 billion users and generate cash flow of billions of dollars. Right now, focusing on doing things that I enjoy and that I think are going to bring me value in life. And that's telling stories. And that's where Nyx Labs comes from. If you've ever wondered why it's called Nyx Labs, Nyx is the Greek goddess of night. She's a total badass. This is where my classics nerd definitely comes out. But she was the second or third god, depending on who you ask. So very old primordial god. Her and another god, Erebus, got together a few times and they had kids, such as Ether, so light. But also, Nyx also gave birth though to gods by herself. And that is the whole point of what I'm doing here at Nyx, is I want to be creating original content in-house. But at the same time, I want to be creating with other people. And that's kind of this whole idea of like this duality that I really enjoy. As well, the labs part is actually just a challenge to me to not just think as a production company. I'm not trying to be a Warner Brothers studio and just try to make videos or films or TV or whatever. I want to be telling experiences and stories from so many different ways. And the labs aspect is really a challenge to me to keep on trying to innovate and not think of myself just as one thing, but always be trying to expand. So yeah, that's kind of the small rundown on that front. So, obviously the questions of what have I done in the last 2 months? And to be honest, it was a lot of logistics setup. So the first thing I did was actually go meet with my lawyer. And I'll show a brief clip from that.
So you want to prepare beforehand before we...
I don't know, it's already, this one's rolling. Sure. And yeah, they're both rolling actually. Just like,
rolling.
I know.
Okay.
Can I just put you on the spot? I'm sorry.
That's alright. No, we'll do some editing. So let's talk. Let's talk about...
yeah, so like honestly, let's just get me kind of incorporated. What's kind of the process right now? Like, obviously, like we've talked a little about like what we're going to be offering. You want to run me through like, what we're actually going to do for me?
Okay, so what the basics of incorporation is that we want to separate yourself from the corporation and separate your liabilities. It's more beneficial from a tax perspective. And you basically can enter into contracts and not engage your own liability. So that's what we want to do for you at this point. And I think you're ready, and you've described to me your journey and how you want it to go about it. So, we can get started on that.
Awesome. So we'll eventually at some point hopefully have employees.
Yes.
I'm also looking though right now, obviously like with the model right now, like freelancers versus part-time. Just because like I have my own equipment, for example.
Right.
So I know that usually in freelance they have to be operating their own equipment. So I'm assuming that if I hire anyone on using my equipment, then they'd have to be part-time instead of freelancers.
Well, essentially we can put whatever we want in this contract. If you want them to be independent contractors, obviously some of the laws governing that they won't have some of the benefits that the law provides for employees. so that would be the main difference. So.
Well, actually, what would kind of be the difference? Just because like, I've never fully understood what the difference between like part-time
I'm talking more in terms of employees versus independent contractors. And an employee, you're subject to the Act respecting labor standards. So there's certain laws that you must abide by, giving them certain vacations, sick leaves, maternity leaves, as opposed to an independent contractor or self-employed, where they're not benefiting from some of those laws. So those are the basic differences between the two. Also.
So I think like that all sounds good. So like, what's the next step? Just like.
The next step is we'll gather your information. We'll incorporate the company. And it's fairly simple. We'll put together your minute book. You'll come sign it, and you'll have a legal person in your name.
Awesome.
From here, we have a few options. Either you can fill out the forms online, or I can provide you with this. You can send this back to me, scan and send. We'll open the file with your the information.
I can do it electronically. Just my handwriting is messy enough.
Okay, so then I think it's best to do it online.
Okay.
In the meantime, if you'd like to take this,
definitely.
Just so you have an idea when you incorporate, this is the information we need. And if you need an explanation on any of the items, let us know what the class of shares mean.
With the French version of name.
Okay, that's required if you're registering in Quebec. You'll need this. But you said it's Nyx Lab Media Inc.
I'm looking at Nyx Labs Co. A corporation.
Okay, so you'll need to actually end it in Inc.
An Inc.
Yeah, for the Canadian purposes.
Okay, so it'd be Nyx Labs Inc.
No, Nyx Lab Media Inc.
No, it'd be Nyx Labs Inc. Well, this is the thing. There is Nyx, which is a cosmetic company. It's just NYX. That's the only. I did a preliminary nuance search.
Okay, so you did that. Can you send that to me as well? So we.
Well, I just did the search. I didn't pay for the search, but I can show you it. But there's nothing that was Nyx Labs. So that's why I assumed I was gonna be fine on that front. So
Nyx Labs Inc. I think that'll, we'll obviously, you might not need a French version of that name. Okay. Because it's a very gray area. I can't tell you yes or no, but once you submit the incorporation, it's possible. But to me, I feel like it would go through because it's not an English word. I mean, unless you had Nyx space Labs.
Well, it is Nyx space Labs.
Okay.
So it'd be
Le Laboratoire Nyx Inc. We could.
I guess so. Yeah.
We could always do that.
The lab.
But so obviously you'll have that version, and then you'll have a version in another language, which will be the English version, which you can use. So that's the beauty of it. When you register in Quebec, you can use either one.
Perfect. Maritime activities.
Yeah, obviously as your sole shareholder and sole director, it's
kind of
easier.
makes it easy.
A lot of that is not applicable for you.
What's the primary activity? Obviously, so it's going to be media for now. If that does change down the road,
that's fine. That's for the purposes of the Quebec registration. We just have to choose a certain industry, and they're all it's numbered. Certain sectors are numbered, so it's just for public records.
Obviously, I'm just because I'm one.
You'll be president, president, secretary, and treasurer. Those will be your three titles.
And incorporators, information. That's just Okay, perfect.
It was really helpful because I sat down and then basically had someone else do the incorporation stuff for me so that I could focus on creating the content and creating everything else. I also worked with a graphic designer, Isabel Lee, and they helped me to get everything ready for both the company logo and the two shows. As well, I worked with a friend that's a producer, Ashmeda, to create the original theme song for everything. One of the proudest decisions I've actually made so far in this company is the fact that I have offloaded work. That can sound like a very sketchy thing, be like outsourcing work, lazy, what are you doing, that's stupid. But I think there's actually a lot of merit to doing that because you're bringing in other people's expertise. And that's the most important thing I found is I've saved myself a lot of time and nerve trying to do things that I am not qualified to do at all so that I can spend time focusing on making sure this content is good and focusing on what stories I'm going to tell and making sure I'm prioritizing my time to do the tasks that no one else can do versus tasks that other people are way more qualified than I am. That's a really hard lesson for me sometimes to learn just because I am a perfectionist and I'm also a jack of all trades. So I feel like I'm talented in all these different aspects. And so giving control away to other people it sometimes feels vulnerable, where it's just like, why am I doing this? Like, scariness. It is. It's very true. But by opening up on that front, the work that comes out that I produce right now is going to be way better than if I were just trying to do this in a bubble. On the flip side, the biggest mistakes I've probably made in the last 2 months was the fact that there were a couple times where I think I jumped the gun wanting to collaborate with someone. So for example, I just found out someone was a graphic designer and then immediately made a meeting with them before looking at their work and seeing, is this going to be a right fit? I did the same thing when it came to picking the music for Digging In. It's easy to rush into something instead of thinking about, is this the right fit? And that's a tough balance sometimes, because especially when taking a more entrepreneurial stance, it's easy to be like, okay, you just need to go, basically move fast and break things is a really good quote that I love listening to. And that's the mentality I took with a lot of this stuff. But then, especially when I'm looking at this as a lifestyle business, yes, it's important to move fast, but it's also important for me to really think about, is this something that is actually bringing me value and the person that is going to be working on this value? And sometimes it's not the right fit, and that's okay. It's hard to say that a lot. I find where it's just like everyone's like, it feels horrible to tell someone like, this isn't working. It's like going on a first date or second date, and then it's like, this isn't working, but it's hard to like actually, it's hard. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, hey, this isn't the right opportunity. And that's like just something I'm now cognizant more of, is making sure that it's the right fit right off the bat instead of just throwing it and seeing where it sticks. Obviously, it depends. It's hard. That was kind of the one lesson I definitely took so far. So obviously getting to the content that I'm producing, which is the main stuff right now. Obviously we have this show Work in Progress. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing this. And definitely if you want to have ideas of what you want me to talk about or explain more, because I feel like I can also go all over the place, definitely let me know. And I'm really happy to dig in deeper into topics. I'm definitely going to be touching about branding in another video, maybe contracts another, but I definitely want to hear what other people want to actually listen to. So I'm not just rambling into the camera and just being completely self-reflective. And then Digging In, the weekly dinner podcast, that's something that I think hits a lot of the things that I want to be doing. So when I talk about this being a lifestyle business, what I mean is that not that I don't want to be successful. It means that right now, the way I am prioritizing the work that is being done is to satisfy what I want from my life. So the things that I really have emphasized that I want is to travel, to be able to spend time with close friends, and to just be telling awesome, incredible stories. Those are the three things I just will not give up. 100%. Like everything else can go, those three need to stay. Given that, Digging In is actually the perfect expression of that. As I'm a huge foodie and I usually have a horrible time cooking for myself. So by inviting someone over for dinner, I'm forcing myself to make dinner for them, aka also feeding me. And then I also get to have an incredible conversation with someone that I'm close with or not, but like have that deeper connection. And then hopefully by just doing a very long hour or two, depending on the episode, gets into hopefully deeper stories that just weren't possible in a different format. So that's actually the biggest reason why I'm doing that show. It's very much for me. I hope that it's awesome content. And it's also important to talk about the fact that all the content I'm making right now, I'm producing it for myself, first and foremost. And it's also forcing me to up my skills constantly. That's my biggest priority with the content, to be very honest. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, because it is very much about me practicing, because that's where I'm at right now. However, I also want it to be all entertaining. That is the second aspect of this. I have these fights within myself where I'm like, this is cool for me, but probably no one else is going to be interested in it. At the same time, I'm going to throw things out and see what happens and then continue to readjust as I see fit. Yeah, and if a show picks up and I see there's interest for it, I'm going to try to make that more engaging. And that's where I'm at. Lastly, you might have noticed that I started daily vlogging again. That was actually also the push to be able to make more content for Work in Progress, because I was starting to feel really self-conscious about putting out the camera for big moments. So obviously I got my conversation with Legal Logic and I've like filmed a couple things, interactions here and there, but I realized to be more reflective, I want to have a deeper field of content to be able to pull from and talk about and have that backlog so that I can come into these recording sessions for Work in Progress and be able to pull things that actually happened. Again, I don't know. This is all kind of just up in the air right now. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm not 100% sure where this is going to go, but I know I'm going to keep doing this. And that's kind of the thing that I find most important at this point. Again, if you have any thoughts about what I should be talking about, what I should be doing, I'd love to hear that. Definitely give me a shout either through a message or through a comment down below, just so I have an idea of where to go from here. Because I do want this to be a two-way interaction. If I just wanted to be self-reflective, I would just write a diary. But I'm trying to open this up to as many people as possible, because hopefully there is something interesting about talking about this stuff. I know that I always enjoy this kind of stuff. So that's kind of my assignment for you for the next 2 weeks. I think that kind of wraps up this episode. So I will see you next time.